So let's just say you're an indie game developer and you put out your first indie game on Steam. And then not long afterwards, it ends up being a viral sensation, selling tons of copies on Steam, having tons of YouTube videos made about it, and being talked about all over websites like Tumblr, DeviantArt, and of course Miiverse. And the last one's pretty important. And then next thing you know, you've got this big publisher reaching out to you asking to get your game published. And this isn't just a big publisher though, this is Nintendo of all people. This is one of the big three gaming companies. And they're asking you if you can put your game on their console because they want it on their system. They've looked at your game and thought this would be a great fit for their system. Now, most developers, after going through what I just talked about, would look at it and think, we've made it. Especially after your first game not only becomes a viral breakout sensation, but it becomes so popular to the point where one of the big three console makers is knocking on their door asking for a port. I mean, it's an incredibly big deal when, as an indie developer, one of the three gaming companies comes to you asking, can you put your game on our system? And many big gaming companies have been doing it. Microsoft's done it, Sony's done it, and of course Nintendo's done it. And it says a lot because these big people in the industry like your game so much that they want it on their system. Only one small problem though. Your game was not made in C++. It was made in Game Maker of all things. Now here's the thing with Game Maker. You can only export it to platforms that Game Maker supports exporting it to. If Nintendo, for example, comes up to you and says that they want your game on their system, well, here's the problem. You used Game Maker. And the thing is, Game Maker does not allow you to export your game to the Wii U. It allows you to export it to Sony platforms, it allows you to export it to the Xbox One, but it does not allow you to export it to the Nintendo Wii U, of all things. Now, here's the thing. What I just said is actually happening right now to Undertale. Now, you probably know what Undertale is at this point because you can't go 5 minutes on the internet without seeing a hip and trendy meme from that game. But that game has been such a viral internet sensation with plenty of people buying it on Steam that of course Nintendo would look at this game and think this is the kind of game we want on our system. And after all, of course, plenty of people were posting it on Miiverse, so it was bound to happen that Nintendo would find out about this game. And of course, the creator is open to a Nintendo port. The problem, of course, well, Game Maker, which is what he used, doesn't export to any Nintendo systems like I just said. And here's the thing, he would have to reprogram the whole game from scratch. But it gets worse. You see, the creator of Undertale does not know any sort of programming language. I mean, he made this game, but he doesn't know anything about programming because he used Game Maker to make the game. So someone else would have to port the game for him. And of course, he's also worried about accuracy of the game to the original and bugs and whatnot. Now, the thing is, Undertale theoretically should be able to run on quite a few different platforms. I mean, keep in mind, the game, even though it was made in Game Maker, has graphics so basic, I'm guessing even a toaster could run it if it was coded in something like C++. And if you've ever seen what's inside the 3DS in particular, it pretty much is a toaster. The 3DS can run Metal Gear Solid 3 and Resident Evil Revelations despite this though. But another thing I thought I'd point out about the Wii U and making games for it is that a lot of commercial game engines or even free ones do not support the Wii U. For example, Axiom Verge was not released on the Wii U as it was made in Monogame, which is an open source version of XNA. And Monogame does not support the Wii U, but it does support the PlayStation 4 and Vita, which is why games like Fez and Dust and Elysian Tale were ported to one of the two systems. Freedom Planet also had to be rewritten as it was made in Multimedia Fusion. The problem? Multimedia Fusion does not work with the Wii U, so the whole game had to be rewritten to run on the Wii U along with Linux and Mac. And in fact, the sequel to Freedom Planet 2, is not only going to be made on the Unity engine, but it's actually going to be developed by the same guy who developed Sonic CD for the 360 and PS3. And in fact, Unity was the only main engine I could find that still supports the Wii U. The Unreal Engine, for example, does not have a Wii U version. Now, of course, you can get the source code for the Unreal Engine and port it to the Wii U if you're a developer. But here's the thing, that requires more effort for many indie developers, and it actually requires coding knowledge. So that you can't just click a button and export it like you can with, say, Unity. So in the end, what can we learn from this? Well, if you're a game developer, you should at least have the code to your own games, because here's the thing. If you want to port your game to as many systems as possible, and especially Nintendo systems, you should at least be able to have the code to your game so you can more easily port it to something like the Wii U, especially because the Wii U is not supported out of the box or at all by many game engines and tools. And that's all that really needs to be said, because that's the thing. If you're a game developer, you should at least know coding. That's all that needs to be said. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.